Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the Footy Show daily, live here on Patreon. Me and Andy, the font of all knowledge, or is he? Time to test that out. It's time to test that out. If you've got any questions, comments, questions about his Alice band, you let us know. Let us know. It's
controversy creates cash, as they say.
That's
Zach Bischoff, wasn't it?
There you go. If you save the wrestling stuff. There are other shows for the wrestling stuff. European football over the weekend, Champions League, quarterfinals, Europa League semi-final. Europa League semi-final tonight. Inter Milan versus
Shakhtar Donetsk.
Yeah. There you go. That should be a good one. But let's go back to, was it Friday night? I want to say.
Yes, Friday night, yeah.
Bayern Munich taking on Barcelona, the might of Barca.
Saturday was. No, it's Friday, right? So you're right, it was Friday. My apologies, yeah.
See, that's why I said it like that, and you were like, no.
There you go, I've just failed my first test.
Exactly, you failed on your first. Font of all knowledge. Didn't even know what day the game footy was. Bayern Munich versus Barcelona. Me and Baz spoke about this game last week, and we both agreed we thought Barcelona would find it very hard to deal with Bayern Munich's press. And it showed. It showed really early. Bayern Munich were absolutely immense.
Braziled them off, didn't they, really?
Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. Yeah, it was a really tough watch. I'm a big Barcelona fan, and they just didn't get anywhere near them. Bayern was so good. It's sad, really, for that team with all those great players, but Bayern just hungrier, younger, faster, stronger. It just showed the difference, where Bayern are at now, and people would have laughed when a year ago when they were under Niko Kovac to where they are now under Hansi Flick. It's just a complete turnaround. And Barcelona paid the price, didn't they?
Yeah. It was so reminiscent of that Germany-Brazil game.
Yeah, well, Hansi Flick was the assistant manager, wasn't he?
It was so reminiscent of it, the way they just went after them, and they just kept on taking that chance. They kept on swarming the ball. They kept on pushing out. They kept on just pressing as high as they can. And the energy and the
players they've got.
But the players they've got aren't like, they are fantastic players, but they're not. You don't sit around going, making, putting them in your fantasy league. Do you know what I mean? They are amazing.
What Bayern have realised, I think, and this is why they signed Sani again as well as for the summer, is they've realised that with all that efficiency they've got and all that lovely technique they've got, they also need that athleticism, that pace, that power. They've converted Alphonso Davies, who's fantastic, to a left back. David Laber's gone to centre half. They've got these. They've got Serge Gnabry, who was cruelly dispatched by Tony Pulis when he was West Brom manager on loan. Look where he is now. You look at these players and they just can't be in the system they play. It's like the German team of 2000, but with the speed and the power, and it's great to watch, really.
How do you think they've built this team, or what way do you think they've built this team? Because last year, obviously, they played Liverpool in the quarters. Yeah. And they went to Anfield and they got a 0-0, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's a great result." Yeah. And they went back to the Allianz Arena and they got beat 3-1, and they were chased early. They were old. They had a lack of pace.
Yeah, it was like Italian side playing against Liverpool. Yeah.
Do you think they have looked at this and gone, "We need to bring in just youthful speed and energy first, and then we'll sort of worry about the rest of it"? Or do you think they've, because Alphonso Davies is a really interesting one. I'd seen him play in MLS, and he wasn't a fullback.
He was a winger.
He was a winger. And obviously I think they bought him as a winger.
They did,
and they bought him to put him into like Bayern 2, basically, and as be just one of those players that may be good, may not be good, but you know what? We'll see what happens after a couple of years, and we'll sell him and we'll make our money. We'll take our chance. And they've looked at him, and with the pace that he's got and the way they want to play, he fitted perfectly into that left back role.
Yeah, if you look,
and you look at that, I just wonder how they put that all together.
I don't think you can work with every player. I think social media. There's a lot of analysts on Twitter, and they tend to go, "Could Dwight McNeil play left back?" And people like that. And don't be wrong, he probably could in some manner, but he's a special athlete, and what they've done is they've moulded him, and they've saw that opportunity where maybe as an inside forward like a Gnabry or a Koeman, he wouldn't probably have enough space, But when he's got all that space to run into and attack players, he's just devastating once he gets into his running. And you saw it, he turned him inside, Semedo inside now, didn't he, for that goal? And I think what they did last summer is they bought a lot of defenders last summer. Obviously, they bought Lucas Hernandez, who can play left back or centre back. They bought him from Atletico Madrid. They also signed Benjamin Pavard, who's the World Cup player for France. They bought him from Stuttgart, and they started buying younger players. They've obviously got Sané coming. I think today they've just announced to get Aaron Hickey from Hearts. So what they're doing is they're trying to bring in players who are younger, and I think this is what they've probably done is looked at Leipzig and Dortmund, and maybe Bayern don't get me wrong, Bayern is still too good in that league, and they've obviously still won it every season. However, what they saw is that press, those teams have done so well with it by having younger players. If you look at the average age of Dortmund and Leipzig, I think it's around, Leipzig's about 23, 24, Dortmund 25. You can maintain pressing like that because players recover quicker when they're younger. When you're 30, you can't press. Liverpool are going to find that in a year or so. You can't press like that when they're that age because they don't recover as quick game to game, midweek games. And that's what I think they've got. I think this is the change in football now. And I think Germany themselves are a really good case in point. Is in 2014 they won the World Cup. 4 years later, they didn't have any of those players to beat 1v1. They couldn't break teams down. And then they saw Sancho coming from England and players like that, and they've gone, that's it. We need the mix, and now they've got the mix. I think Bayern are ready. I think Bayern are going to be the favourites. I think
they were the favourites before.
They were when we saw them in the Bundesliga. How good we talked about a couple of months ago. How good they were when they came back. Their form, and even with the break, maybe that break helped them in some ways. I don't know, but
I think what was good about this game though is this. I think for a lot of time, people had them down. I'll go back to this Farmers tag. People had them down as being a team that just won the Bundesliga every year, and there was no competition. And do you know what I mean? Like, oh, of course they're going to win it. And I don't think anyone were taking them seriously for the Champions League because of that tag. And I think now after this game, I think people have genuinely been blown away by that performance. But they shouldn't have been though, because we've been watching them in Europe.
Yeah.
What they did to Chelsea.
Yeah, they were so much better. Yeah.
Spurs.
Yeah.
What they done to Spurs. They're a fantastic football team.
We forget we've got the most lethal striker in world football up front as well.
But the thing about it is though, you score that many goals and Lewandowski only scores one.
Yeah, exactly.
And I still think it was offside. Yeah. But they bring a lad off the bench who scores two, and Coutinho from against his own team, which is like the biggest knife in the back.
But he suits that team more than he does Barcelona. We'll get into Barcelona in a minute, but yeah.
I think I think it's just made it very, very interesting now, because I think a lot of people now will go, it's funny how one game can shift how people feel about you. And I wonder whether, not saying that'll go against them going forward, because I just think they're too good. Not saying they'll hands down win it, but they've got a fantastic opportunity. I think the teams left in it is good for them as well, because there isn't I think with Atletico Madrid going out, I think that sets up a lovely balanced couple of semi-finals where, I think the best footballing team will end up winning it.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
So it's going to be dead interesting. But so Bayern, absolutely fantastic. But on the flip side, Barcelona, horrendous.
Yeah, it's a culmination of years of neglect, really, as a club. I mean, you had a great conversation earlier off camera about them lacking an identity.
We should stop doing that. We should do it on camera.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll do it now.
Well, we'll do it now. You made a great point about where's the identity gone. When Laporte left and Sandro Rosell took over, they became a globalised. They lost that Catalonian, iconism, if you will, and. Barcelona have always been at the best when they've been, you've had a core of those Spanish players. They were under Cruyff and then Guardiola, and then they had a sprinkling of talent. I think when you had the MSN era with Messi, Suarez and Neymar, they were just too great. Don't get me wrong. We still had Xavi and Iniesta at the peak. You still had, of course, Piqué at the back. Now those players are older. Xavi and Iniesta aren't there anymore.
I think we spoke about it before. One of the big problems is they went from being Barcelona more than a football club.
Yeah.
So Barcelona, where can we cash in?
Yeah.
They left behind all of the things that made them great, why people loved them. No shirt sponsor.
Yep.
People used to love that. You know, the rebuilding the new camp, it'll be called something. You get in bed with all the companies. I can understand all that globalisation, want to be one of the big names in the world. But they left something behind. They left the soul, part of the soul behind by doing that. And by not having someone in the boardroom who was a Barca person, and not having someone maybe on the bench who was a Barca person, they've stopped going forward. And I think one of the other things about that is they never had a plan for post Xavi, post Iniesta, and more importantly, post Messi.
Well, they did have a plan post Xavi, and he's probably about to join them across the park, and they sold him in Thiago Alcantara, who's a wonderful player. But that's the type of thing and the thinking that's caused them to get here. They just completely La Masia obviously is the great academy that they've always had. But for years, they've just bought these players, some big names from other teams. They're ill-fitting for the Barcelona way, the Cruyffian way, if you will. And they just don't suit it. But then they've got all these talented young lads. Don't get me wrong, they're not all Thiago. But Ansu Fati is a good example. He's played well this season. You know, Ricky Puig, who obviously is there as well. But a lot of these lads haven't been given chances enough, and they're getting older. Look, Sergio Roberto, surprise, is 28. You think he was 24?
I think one of the best examples of this, and you might disagree, but I'm just looking at it from a football and from just looking in. You go and buy Dembele, one of the best young talents in Europe. Right, he's got a few issues. Seems to get injured a lot.
Likes the game.
Likes to sit up till 4 o'clock in the morning playing on the PlayStation. Who doesn't? Those things can be sorted out, but they go and bring in a replacement within a year who's 29.
But then they also signed Malcolm for 40 million, who best position, plays behind the best player ever. So, whether we agree with that or not, but one of the best players ever. It's just wasting money after money continuously.
But not letting people settle in.
No, they don't.
So that's what I was saying before about having that
season to season,
having that plan of like
succession plans.
So they had Neymar, who should have been the natural successor for Messi.
Yeah.
And they didn't look after that relationship. And I know, listen, it was out of their hands when PSG came for him.
Yeah.
But they let that relationship out to get to the point where he wanted to be, because they obviously weren't communicating the succession plan.
Yeah, Neymar wants to be number one, which he's always wanted to be. Yeah, I think Messi should never leave Barcelona. I think I think the greatest player of the club's history, the greatest player of all time, in my opinion. I would like him to be a one club man. However, Messi's obviously been the main solution for Barcelona, but he's also been part of the problem in the fact that he has got so much influence that maybe him wanting Griezmann, maybe him wanting Neymar back, has forced him into a financial corner that it's really cost them, really. And I think they've let the squad get old and not replace them with good enough players. You know, Dani Alves, who was wonderful for Barcelona. Nelson Semedo doesn't really cut it, let's be honest. They've signed the right backs, Alexis Vidal, not good enough. Griezmann, they haven't replaced Suarez, who's, don't get me wrong, he's still a wonderful player on a night.
But that's the problem, though, isn't it? You looked at that team, and look, everything we've just said about Bayern Munich, about replacing the old players, bringing in young, fresh talent. Barcelona have almost been refused to do that. They're stuck in this 2012 way of doing things. They've replaced people who they had to replace.
Yeah.
They haven't forced anyone out. They never got rid of Xavi and brought someone else in. It was like he finished and the next guy came in. The same with Iniesta, and it almost feels like they're going to do that with Messi. It's not. We're going to have to start. Don't get me wrong. Messi is still one of the best players in the world. Of course he is. But the other night showed. I mean, I put a tweet out and it had different connotations, but different people reacted to it. But my tweet was the Ronaldo-Messi era is over, because it is.
They can't win the games on their own as much anymore.
Exactly, that was my point, is that both of them went out in the quarterfinals. They're still brilliant players and they'd still get into 99% of teams.
Closed, though, yeah.
Right? But the problem is that only 1% of teams win Champions Leagues.
Yeah.
And only 1% of players win Champions Leagues on their own for teams, and they are not good enough. Messi showed that last year against Liverpool. He went to Anfield 3-0 up and couldn't do a tap.
Oh, created 3 goal scoring chances that they all fluffed. That was not his fault, but I'll give you that. The issue though with both of them, though, I agree this, is that they're still great, good, but maybe your illusion that they're still the players they were is because they still score goal and they're not the same players.
But they can't do things on their own, so you've got to have that succession plan. You've got to be willing to pull.
Getting rid of Thiago was idiotic at
the
time.
You've got to be willing to make that hard decision and start saying, right, you start sitting down on the bench now and again, and we start. But whether he's got too much power, whether it's right he's got too much power, maybe that idea of him against the board is because he has seen something at that club that other people haven't seen, and this is where we are. It's hard to know whether it's happened because Messi's got too much power and it's been used the wrong way, or because Messi needs the power but hasn't, I don't know.
I think if there was a strong people, though, you wouldn't have it. Your power doesn't matter because they're steering you, you trust people. I think, the one sign I always think they've got right is Frankie de Jong. I think there's people look at it, but Ajax and Barcelona are intrinsically linked by Cruyff, aren't they? And if you're going to sign players, sometimes you go, Ajax play exactly the same way we do.
Well, that leads us on to our next point. It looks like Ronald Koeman's going to be taking over.
Which is...
Now, as we are prominently an Everton channel, which we are, although the Footy show will be going to its own channel soon. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Ronald Koeman looks like he's taking over. And that set... I don't know why it sets alarm bells, because you're not Barcelona fans. Ronald Koeman is a Barcelona legend.
Unbelievably so.
Right? A Barcelona legend. He is a man who, even though he's not an Ajax man...
No.
He is a Cruyff man.
Yes.
And Cruyff is the be-all and end-all. In fact, for me, and I think you have similar opinions, Cruyff is the biggest influence on football ever.
Yes, more than anything.
Ever.
Yeah. Just give me goosebumps.
He's the biggest influence on football ever, as far as I'm concerned. He may not have been the greatest player, he may not have been the greatest manager, but he is...
In the conversation.
But he is the greatest influence on football.
He is. He's the innovator, yeah.
So, I think Koeman actually is the right appointment for right now. Yeah. Because I think he's not... Number one, I don't think he's a yes man.
No,
I don't think he's a yes man.
Never has been, has he?
I think he fully understands the principles of Barcelona.
And Cruyff, yeah.
And they need to get someone in that dugout who'll grab older people and go, right, you think you're a Barca man. Well, I'm a Barca man. Yeah, I'm actually the Barca man. I scored the winning goal in the first European Cup final that they won. So, if you...
Exactly, and there's a respect level there, whether people like it or not. Kike Setien was okay for Betis. He should be managing Barcelona. Valverde, good manager for Athletic Bilbao, sorry. Not really, it was okay for Barcelona, but these people aren't going to command. And if you look at Barca's history, Cruyff, ex-Barca player, Rijkaard, ex-Ajax player under Cruyff, Guardiola, ex Barcelona legend, ex-player under Cruyff, Luis Enrique play for Barcelona as legends. They've all got a link to the club and understand the principles of the club. And now you've got Ronald Koeman, whether people Pep, of course, and whether you think you like it or not, Ronald Koeman makes sense for a short term. I don't know whether he might turn to long term if he does well, but what the plan is, I guess, is in a year's time, they have the elections, they change back to maybe Laporte or whoever comes in, and Xavi returns as the all-conquering saving hero.
Yeah, I think, listen, you need to have someone who understands, like we've just said, the principles of the club.
Yeah.
So I actually think it doesn't matter what has happened before in Koeman's actually just done really, really well for Holland.
Yeah, he's just transformed.
Just transformed that side.
Turn them over, yeah.
From a very average team to a team that looks very young. I mean, listen, I'm not saying it'll happen, but I can imagine the first thing he'll want to do is maybe try and get a certain Dutch centre back out of Merseyside. I'm just saying that's what he might want to do first. And listen, it's every Dutch player's team to play for Barcelona.
There is, yeah.
Because it's the natural.
And where did Virgil van Dijk start? Groningen? Where did Ronald Koeman start? Groningen.
Wheels within wheels. So don't be so down, people, on Ronald Koeman going to Barcelona.
I think with Ronald, what I will say about Ronald Koeman is, yeah, he's not been the world, set the world alight as a manager, but it makes sense. And look at Zidane at Real Madrid. He never coached for. Look at Pep before. Rijkaard never really did much before Barcelona. Sometimes people just fit clubs, big clubs, and they understand the people I'm not saying he's going to win the Champions League for him because I don't believe he will, but they need to get back onto an even keel where they are using the academy players, they're thinking about building things.
I just think they need somebody who can walk into the dressing room and go, there's my medals.
Yeah.
Right?
Only a couple of players are going to say that.
I won those for this football club. And I think that's the first step into getting back. Because I just don't feel... Messi must have looked at all those managers you just named, walk in and go...
No.
And that's why he had to be...
Maybe that's why they're the managers, though. Maybe because Messi knew them playing against them in Spain. That's why they ended up as managers. Because I think Messi obviously got some influence, but I think with Ronald Koeman, I think, as you say, he's not going to. He's, as Everton fans surely know, he's not exactly a man who's the most warmest man if he's not a big fan of you. So
I wouldn't, yeah. And I could see. I think a lot of people will see a different side of Ronald Koeman now when he goes there. I think that'll happen anyway. We just mentioned Pep.
Oh God.
Manchester City, obviously.
That happened again.
Up against Lyon on Saturday night. Great opportunity to get to the semi-final, to play against Bayern Munich, in which what would have been an almighty game. It really would have. And it was taken away from us by number one, Lyon, playing fantastically well.
Yeah, well done to them.
Having great tactics, playing on the counter-attack. But Pep just getting it all wrong.
He's done it before. He did it twice of Bayern Munich, where it's so dominant in the league, and then when he comes to the tie, I think he second guesses himself and thinks, I have to match up with them. You're Manchester City against Lyon. Don't be no offence to Lyon. I love Lyon. I think they're a great club who bring young players through. They've always done it the right way. However, it's Manchester City, one of the best teams in Europe. You beat them, play your way. Don't match them up and try and play. I don't know. I think they played down to the level of opposition that cost them.
For me, I thought, you look at that midfield Manchester City sent out, really defensive.
Yeah, bizarre.
And you think, you're right, you've got Gabriel Jesus and Raheem Sterling up front.
Pace.
But with a midfield like that, I just think you need...
Well, you've only got one player creating then, haven't you?
Yeah, so you can get away with that if you've got Aguero, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't think you get away with that with those two up front. I don't think Jesus is good enough as a centre forward, and I don't think he necessarily suited Raheem Sterling. And then you find Kevin De Bruyne then will be targeted by the opposition because he's going to be the influencer. And I just think he got it all wrong. Whereas I think if he'd sent out an attacking side, maybe would have had Bernardo in it or Silva in it,
or Mahrez even, yeah.
They could have been 2 up by half time.
I've pointed out there, Pep's done it at Tottenham as well. I thought he made mistakes there, Liverpool, before he's made mistakes in terms of how he's set up. I think there's times though where it's moments have cost him. Like last season, the Phantom Handball by Llorente, and I think this one Sterling's miss. There's certain moments that the Champions League is about single moments sometimes, but he's set out to the game wrongly, in my opinion.
The first goal, I thought it was woeful by the goalkeeper. I really do, and I didn't like. It's a good ball over the top. It's a good tackle, and then the goalkeeper comes way off his line and then starts backtracking, and then he has a little look. Yeah. And it's that look that cost him. Yeah. It's like he doesn't know where he is. And if he didn't, he could have maybe he'd used that split second to go to the right, knowing that was the only place he could put it. To get back into the game, obviously, with a great goal. Kevin De Bruyne, lovely move. And then the second goal for Lyon, again, personally, I thought it should have been disallowed. Yeah. I thought, okay, is he offside? Not really. But it's a foul. He trips him over. And he goes on and scores. Yeah. I mean, how he can't see that as a foul, I don't know. Suddenly it's 2-1. Moments. And then, where they'd been in control.
Yeah, and then you're going all the way down the other end to try and score.
And then the miss from Sterling is... like, it's one of those things where that's what Sterling was doing 2-3 seasons ago. Back post, overthinking, going to meet the ball instead of, if you're a couple of goals up or maybe there's nothing on the goal, it's the first goal, he just lets that ball hit his foot and it goes in, where you can see he goes to meet it and he kicks through it, and it shouldn't really matter, but
those moments make a big difference.
A minute later it's 3-1. And it's game over and they're out, and they've only got themselves to blame.
Yeah, and you know, this is something Pep's becoming. You get into that stage where he hasn't won the Champions League for 2011-12, isn't it? So 11, so 9 years now. I don't think any managers ever won it. Like I think Jupp is the one 12 years, but I don't think any managers won it that far apart. It seems like there's like a prime as a manager. He's getting to the stage where he either wins it or people are going to be starting, those questioning of him, was do you need Messi to win the Champions? They always come back to him. I don't think he does, but he hasn't shown that ability to go to that next level without that Barcelona team. And maybe the reason is that no one can replicate that style like Barcelona.
Yeah. That
City aren't natural at it, and it's always going to be a flaw. But I think he overthought it in that game specifically.
But I also think in a game like that, you need someone to come off the bench who can do something completely different to what you've got on the pitch. And whether that be, having a centre forward who's a proper number 9.
Well, they haven't had that since Dzeko, have they? I've always said the plan B with something different. Yeah, you're right there. Having someone who can head the ball in. Because who's going to head the ball in, really? You've got Jesus is 5'9", Aguero's about the same height. They're not exactly the biggest two centre forwards, are they? And I think they are looking for a centre forward this summer. I don't know what type they're looking for, but I think they need a...
There's still obvious question marks at the back as well.
Well, you need Kalidou Koulibaly, don't you? Let's be honest.
If you're going to go do it,
if you want to win the Champions League, that's the number one target, or Virgil van Dijk, which you're not signing, of course. So they're the two players you could go and sign. Obviously, you've got Nathan Ake now, who can play as a utility player, but he's not going to start. And then you pair someone with Laporte. That's what you do.
So we got the Champions League semi-finals: Bayern Munich versus Lyon,
and PSG.
Paris Saint-Germain versus RB
Leipzig.
Which obviously who beat? I can't even think. Who did they beat? Atletico Madrid on Thursday night.
Sorry.
Went blank.
Tyler Adams scored. Which
was a really fascinating game as well.
Completely different style, contrast to style. Nagelsmann against Simeone.
But it was good because Leipzig went for it and they got the rewards in the end. So they went. So
what if they got to lose?
Yeah, exactly. But Madrid didn't. Atletico Madrid didn't go for it though, which is.
And again, another manager who's sort of people say he's lost his fastball. Simeone, maybe he has. And they were so good, obviously in the early 2010s when they got to the Champions League finals. But slowly but surely, they just become a team who can't break to score enough goals.
Yeah. First semi-finals tomorrow, isn't it? Yes, that's the one on night. Europa League last night, Manchester United against Seville. Really good opportunity for them to get to the final.
It's against the holders of every Europa League, isn't it? Sevilla, which come Monchi being back, of course. It's a big...
Well, United take a penalty early on. Very interesting penalty actually, because obviously the shot had already been taken.
Yeah.
And he got took out. But I was really nice to see. I mean, it's not Man United's 22nd penalty. But
hey, that striker in black's great, isn't it?
It's not, but it's good to see referees giving fouls for just because the ball's gone.
No, it is, because they don't anymore. If it affects the shot, then it's still a penalty, isn't it? I know you get the shot off. Were you impeded in some way? Yes, he was. I don't know. I think Man United last night, I thought Pogba was superb.
The problem is, they went 1-0 up, and obviously they were almost in cruise control.
Yeah.
The equaliser was awful. Really was awful defensively. Second half they come out and they had so many good chances. And it's funny because people talk their front three up, but at times their front three are not clinical at all.
No, they're not, and they probably missing that. Well, they are all only 24, 22, and whatever they are. But yeah, there's that missing ingredient, I guess. Obviously Mason Greenwood's only 18, but there's that little bit of guile that they're missing in front of goal, which either they stick or twist. I think they're probably going to stick, aren't they, and then put Sancho at right wing. But that was the difference. Don't get me wrong, they've got two players there who can create chance after chance in Bruno and Pogba. I think Fred did really well at defensive midfield as well for them. I just think, I think the second goal, Maguire just didn't even look where the man was. Did he just run? Yeah. And Wan-Bissaka as well. They're big monies for signings. I think they cost them there really. And I don't know. I think Man United is not quite right, as American phrase goes. They're not quite ready for prime time. I think they're a bit. I know they've got good players who've won things, but I still think they're a young, inexperienced side on that level. Especially considering the signings they've got, like Maguire, like Wan-Bissaka, Rashford, of course. Pogba's obviously done everything, but Bruno's never really played that far into European competition. These are players who are just getting to that level, and I think they'll come again. But I think it's a good learning lesson. I think Solskjaer's better than we thought he is, but maybe we'll see if he can go to the next level. I'm not too sure, but I think Man United can learn a lot from that game, and I think they can understand where they need to strengthen, really.
Yeah, so it's into Shakhtar Donetsk tonight.
Good game. Shakhtar, really lovely side.
Kane says, are Shakhtar capable of knocking Inter out tonight?
Hey.
If you was a betting man, would you do both teams to score?
Yes, Shakhtar are a really good side going forward. They've obviously got the trio of Brazilians, Tayson, Marlos, Junior Moraes up front. They've also got it's not Kenny Tete, it's just Tete, the Brazilian off the bench. They've got Marcos Antonio in midfield, who's a lovely player, really, really good player. And then they've got a smashing of the Ukrainians who had that steel and the grit to the team. And I think, yeah, Shakhtar are a really interesting side. Don't be wrong, Inter Milan should beat them. No, but these Shakhtar won it, in 2007, I think. So, yeah.
Paul wants to know, who would your money be on for the Europa League?
You can't look past Sevilla, can you? They're just as a club. But Inter Milan are the best side in it. Let's be honest, the team who's have built a side like that should win it. But
I think Lukaku, if he
is on it,
doesn't fluff his lines, will get it. And I personally think Bayern Munich will win the Champions League as well.
Same, yeah.
Some of your questions. Rue says David Silva is getting a statue outside City Stadium.
Yeah, if you think about Manchester City's history, apart from I think the 70 team and the Kipaks, Colin Bell and people like that, they haven't had those heroes. Maybe Sean Gota, I guess. And now you look to this modern year, you've got Aguero, De Bruyne, Silva, and Silva's certainly on company. Silva's been a big important part of that.
Yeah. Matthew Barry says, afternoon, lads, with Koeman going to Barcelona, do you think it might hinder us looking at players with a view to loans or permanent transfers?
No, I don't think Koeman's going to have that much of a say over. Obviously he's going to say he wants to keep, but I don't think he's going to be doing the transfer business. Or they'll have to replace Abadal, because I believe he's getting sacked as well.
There you go. Gary Ward says, Gary Ward is our official Memphis 901 FC correspondent.
Oh, Jose Baxter.
And he said, Memphis visited Charlotte Independence on Saturday night. Memphis jumped out to an early lead on the 13th minute following a long half-time due to a lightning delay. Something we don't have over here, is it?
Shame.
Isn't it? Memphis extended their lead to 2-0 with the 50th minute goal. It was all downhill from there.
It's how we're playing in goal, isn't it?
Now and again.
Oh, right.
Charlotte scored in the 53rd minute and the 59th minute, were awarded a penalty kick when they tied it 2-2. And in the 69th minute, Charlotte got the game-winning goal,
GWG.
but GWG, to make it 3-2. Tim Howard did not play, and Jose Baxter is still injured. There you go.
I'm a Tampa Bay Rowdies fan. I worked with them earlier this season. Neil Collins, the manager, used to play in England. He's a really nice fella, so that's me.
There you go. Save all your Everton questions for Live at 5. Come on.
It's the footy show. We want some
this
European
is
football, Premier League.
This is where we're getting into the European. Very quickly, apparently Manchester United are going to turn their attentions away from
Are they?
Sancho to look at Douglas Costa.
No.
Okay.
So this is, do you know what, this has become more and more prevalent, and I think Everton fans are experiencing, obviously with Gabriel and Alan at the moment, that the Italian clubs and Spanish clubs especially use the press extremely well. And Man United and Dortmund are in a cold war, as they say now, pursuing propaganda, and they just want them to lower the price. It's just a thing that's done now.
Okay, here's a really interesting one I just wanted to throw in. Paris Saint-Germain, Borussia Dortmund and Monaco want to sign Wilfried Zaha. Apparently, he wants to leave, which we all know.
Well, I should have signed the 5-year deal.
He wants to play Champions League football, obviously, with the uncertain futures of Neymar and Sancho.
Come on. He's not on their level. But, don't get me wrong, I understand Wilfried Zaha's a good player. However, you're not replacing Neymar with Wilfried Zaha, so that's a big... Maybe that's Palace trying to get a marker for him using the press. I'd be facing... Who was the third team? Monaco. Yeah, that makes sense, because Paul Mitchell is there, and Lawrence Stewart, who used to be the head of recruitment coordination at Everton, they're both there now. So that would make more sense.
Aubameyang looks very close to signing an Arsenal deal.
It's 31 now, so probably a 4-year deal, 3-year deal. They needed that because he's...
But what about this stuff that's happened at Arsenal over the weekend?
Okay, so Ralph Sanelli's left, hasn't he? Basically, because they're saying that he overpaid for Nicolas Pepe. They're doing an internal investigation. Basically, what's happened is, I read another piece today, that basically at Barcelona, where he came from, they used to power plays at board level, because it's not the same as an English rugby team as an owner. It's fan voted. There's a president, there's hierarchy, and you play for power in the press and stuff like that. there's a belief that he's overplayed the power. They didn't Pepe they like, however, they didn't think they needed to spend 72 million. They probably didn't. I thought it would have been 50. I like Pepe. I'd recommended him the year before for Everton when he would have been about 12 million, but then he moved. I think they did overspend, but then they got a deal where they pay the whole money over the 5 years, so you have to pay a bit of drink on top. So yeah, I don't know. I think Edu and his agent pal have got the win there.
Do you think this will lead to more power for Mikel Arteta?
Yes and no. I think Kia Jarabshin...
Make your mind up.
Well, I think Kia Jarabshin and Edu are the ones who are the real power players, but Arteta can obviously get if he plays ball with them, will obviously have a big, strong influence here as well.
And it looks like Joe Hart's going to Tottenham.
Yeah, as I said to a couple of others, I think it's a move for the dressing room. He's someone who's won things in the past, especially in the Premier League. He's a big presence in the dressing room. I've heard that he's a really hard worker and trainer, sets good standards. Don't be wrong, he's not going to push Lloris. Lloris is a much better goalkeeper, but I guess for a president, Richard Wright was at Man United for 10 years, so Man City for 10 years, so you never know.
There you go. Terry McAllister says thoughts on Arsenal signing players after making 55 staff redundant. Feels more like it was a cold-hearted restructuring of the club to suit the vision of certain individuals involved in the top of Arsenal.
Or not involved.
Then about saving money due to the pandemic. I think you've nailed it, Terry. I think the excuse has been made. Coronavirus has been used as an excuse. I think it was an excuse
to power play,
just to get rid of people.
I think the problem is, I've always said this: you can't project your personal political beliefs on football clubs because it's capitalism. They just don't operate like normal people do. It's sad, really, but that's just the way they are.
There you go.
Disturbing end.
Footy show is back.
I'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah. So join us for that.
And Baz, but taller, larger. It's like Freaky.
I really don't know what to say.
It's like Freaky Friday, isn't it?
It really isn't. There you go. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you want to watch this show live, join us over on our Patreon. The link is in the description. Don't forget, we will be going to our own channel soon, the Footy Show channel, where we're gonna give Andy his own show. He doesn't even know. Where he can just talk all day. Just gonna leave him in a room to just talk about football.
Wouldn't mind doing that.
So make sure you subscribe to that channel as well. Give this video a like. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe to this channel as well. All the links are in the description. Thank you for watching. See you later.